Today we're going to spend half of the time relooping and reviewing finding the area of composite shapes and half the time working on our current skill of surface area. But first, solve these two do now problems on your own and enter your answers. So the first problem is bringing us back to circles and circumference. So since I see the word circumference, I first need to think back to what my formula is and write that down. So our circumference we find by doing 2 pi r. I'm given the circumference this time. It says the circumference of a circle is 207.24. So instead of writing C, I'm actually going to plug in what C, the circumference is, 207.24. Following my formula, that circumference is going to equal 2 times pi, which we know is 3.14, times r. Well, I don't know what the radius is because it asks, what is the radius? So I'm going to leave my variable r. Now I can multiply the 2 times 3.14, and I get 6.28, still times r. Bring down my circumference. And from here I just have a one-step equation. It's 6.28 times r, so to get r by itself, I need to do the opposite and divide by 6.28. And I get r equals 33 for my radius. My second do now problem is a review with unit rate. We have an emperor penguin that can walk 30 kilometers in 4 hours, and a king penguin can walk 24 kilometers in 3 hours. I want to know who walks at a faster rate and by how much. So this, we should not have used a calculator. In order to determine who is faster, I need to calculate the unit rate. I'm looking for kilometers per hour, and I can even see that by my answer choices. So fill in, the emperor penguin is 30 kilometers in 4 hours, and the king penguin is 24 kilometers in 3 hours. From here, I just need to divide. I'm going to do this king penguin first since it's easy. 24 divided by 3 is 8 kilometers per hour. It's supposed to be hour. Now I need to do 30 divided by 4. 4 goes into 3 0 times. 4 goes into 37 times. 7 times 4 is 28. Subtract, I get 2, not 0. Instead of leaving a remainder, I can add a decimal and a 0. Now bring down the 0. 4 goes into 25 times. So the emperor penguin walks at a rate of 7.5 kilometers per hour. So when I look at these, I can see that the king penguin is faster because he can walk 8 kilometers every single hour, and the emperor penguin can only walk 7.5. So right now I know A and D are out because I see that the king penguin is faster. Now to determine by how much, I need to subtract to find the difference. The king penguin walks 8 kilometers per hour. The emperor is 7.5, so the difference is 0.5. So the king penguin walks faster by 0.5 kilometers per hour. Be sure you have corrected any mistakes before moving on. The first thing we're going to do is do a little mini review with composite shapes that have to do with semicircles. So if I want to know how to find the area of the shape below, I first want to ask myself, what shapes do I have? I can see that I have a rectangle and a semicircle, which is a half circle. Once I've identified the shape, then I want to go ahead and write my formulas for each shape. So I know to find the area of a rectangle, I just do length times width. Now for a semicircle, we don't have one specific formula, so we're going to first use the area of a circle. So to review, the area of a circle is pi r squared. However, with a semicircle, we want to do everything divided by 2. So go ahead and make sure you have this on your paper now. To find the area of a semicircle, I do pi r squared, which is the area of a circle, and then I divide it by 2 because a semicircle is half a circle. All right, so let's go ahead and find the area of the rectangle. I see that the length is 12 and the width is 2. So 12 times 2 is 24 centimeters squared just for the area of the rectangle. Now, I want to look at the semicircle. So we have pi, which is 3.14, times my radius. Now, when I look at this semicircle, I see that this line right here goes all the way through. So this line would be considered the diameter. This is going to be 12 centimeters because if this side is 12, this side is 12 since they're parallel in a rectangle. So in order to find the radius though, I need to split this in half because a radius only goes halfway through the circle. So my radius is 6, and then I need to square that. And then I need to divide everything by 2 since it's a semicircle. So first I do exponents. So I'll have 3.14 times 36. 6 times 6, or 6 squared, is 36. Everything divided by 2. Then we're going to do 36 times 3.14. And I get 113.04. Then I need to divide it by 2. So the area of the semicircle is 56.52 square centimeters. So I found the area of the circle using my formula, and then I divided by 2 to get the semicircle. My very last step, I have the areas of each individual shape, but now I need to add them up because this composite shape is putting these two together. So 56.52 plus 24. Again, when we're adding decimals, always make sure we line up our decimals so we can add 2 zeros. And we get a total of 80.52 square centimeters for my composite shape area. Be sure you have all of this on your paper before moving on, and remember you can always rewind it if you need to listen to any part again. Now let's do a little practice to make sure that you have mastered this old skill. Try to spend only 3 minutes on each problem, maximum 4. So find the area of each composite shape. So first thing I want to do for number 1 is identify my shapes. I have a rectangle and I have a semicircle. Then I'm going to make sure I write my formulas. For a rectangle, I'm going to do length times width. And for a semicircle, I'm going to need to do pi r squared divided by 2 since it's half a circle. My easy one first is my rectangle. The length is 8 times my width of 5. So the area of the rectangle is 40 centimeters squared. Down to the semicircle. Pi r squared, so 3.14 times the radius. So this line right here is 8, and this line across is my diameter. So to get my radius, I'm going to divide that in half. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my radius is 4, and then I need to square it. And then I need to divide it all by 2. So 3.14 times 16, 4 squared is 16, divided by 2. 3.14 times 16 is 50.24. And then I need to divide it by 2. And I get an area of 25.12 centimeters squared for my semicircle. Last step is to add them both up. And I get 65 0.12 centimeters squared. Solve for the area of composite shape number 2. All right, number 2. I'll go ahead and move this over a little bit. So first things first, identify your shapes. I have a rectangle and I have another semicircle. Write my formulas for a rectangle, length times width. For a semicircle, pi r squared divided by 2. My easy one first is my rectangle, length 6 times 9. My rectangle's area is 54 feet squared. For my semicircle, pi 3.14 times my radius, the whole line across would be 6. So half of 6 is 3 for my radius. 6 is the diameter. Squared divided by 2. Area is 3.14 times 9, 3 squared, all divided by 2. 3.14 times 9 is 28.26 divided by 2, and I get 14.13 feet squared just for the semicircle. Since I'm putting that together with my rectangle, I'm just going to add. And we get 68.13 feet squared as my total area of the rectangle and the semicircle. Solve the area of composite shape number 3. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. All right, for number 3, my two shapes are my rectangle and my semicircle. My areas are again length times width for my rectangle, and pi r squared divided by 2 for my semicircle. Writing your formulas out every single time will help internalize them for you and help you remember. So for the rectangle, the length and the width is 7 and 3, so the area of the rectangle is 21 centimeters squared. The area of the semicircle is first 3.14 times r. The diameter right here goes across the circle is 3, so the radius is half, which is 1.5 squared divided by 2. 1.5 times 1.5 is 2.25 divided by 2. 3.14 times 2.25 is 7.065. Still need to divide by 2. And we get 3.5325 centimeters squared for my semicircle. Putting that together with my rectangle, so 21. And I didn't tell you to round, so I'm just going to go ahead and use all of these numbers. So I get 24.5325 centimeters squared. If we were to round to say the nearest tenths place, then it would be 24.5 centimeters squared. Great job if you got those correct, and hopefully you now feel a little more confident with composite shapes that have semicircles. All right, so now on to what we've been working on this week, which is surface area. So now the difference between this and what we just did is surface area has to do with three-dimensional objects. So we're going to review one together, and then you can practice on your own. Malachi is building a rectangular wardrobe for his bedroom. The wood he wants to use costs 49 cents per square foot. The wardrobe he wants to build measures 3 feet by 2 feet by 6 feet. How much will the wood cost to build his wardrobe? When they don't tell us explicitly what the length, width, and height are, when they give us the dimensions, it usually goes in that order. So length 3 feet, by your width 2 feet, by the height 6 feet. I'm going to go ahead and just sketch out the wardrobe. It's not perfect, just gives me an idea. So 3 by 2 by 6. Now if this is being made out of wood, we are looking then for the surface area because the wood is going to go all the way around the wardrobe. So that means I need to find the surface area of a rectangular prism. So if I think back to Monday, that's when I need to find the top, the bottom, the front, the back, and each side. A rectangular prism has 6 sides. I need 6 areas. So if I look at the top part, this rectangle is the same as the bottom. When I'm looking for dimensions, I see that the length is 3 and the width is 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. If the top is 6, that means the bottom is also 6. When I look at the front, I see that this front is made up of 3 the length and the height of my wardrobe. I don't see any numbers here, but I know that the height is 6. So I'm going to do 3 times 6. So the area of the front part of the wardrobe is 18, which means the back is also 18. The front and the back are the same. Lastly, I have my right and my left side, right here. So the dimensions that make up the side are the width, front to back, which is 2, times the height, which is 6, and 6 times 2 is 12, which means the other side is also 12. Now I just need to add all of those up, and I get 72 square feet of wood will be needed. However, if I go back to the question isn't asking for how much wood I need, it's how much the wood will cost. So if I look back at the key information with money, it tells me that the wood costs 49 cents per square foot. It's like the unit rate. So if I know 1 square foot is 49 cents, I'm going to need to multiply 49 cents by the total amount that I have, which is 72, and I get a total of $35.28. That is the total cost. We found out how big the wardrobe was going to be, the surface area, and then we multiplied it by the unit rate, how much it was for 1 square foot. Now it's time to do a little practice, starting a little easier first when you're actually given the shapes. So you're going to find the surface area of all 3 prisms. All right, number 1 is a triangular prism, which is what we did yesterday. So this one's different than a rectangular prism because a triangular prism has triangles and only 5 sides. So this is where I need to find the triangle, 1 rectangle, 2 rectangles, 3 rectangles. So let's start with my triangles. So triangle formula is base times height divided by 2. This one's a little trickier. My base and my height are going to be 6 and 8. The reason it's not 10 is because 6 and 8 form a right angle right here. And the base and the height of a triangle must form a right angle. So 6 times 8 is 48, divided by 2 is 24. So if one triangle is 24, that means the other triangle is also 24. I'm going to pick first this rectangle on this side. If you didn't choose this one first, that's fine. Just make sure you have this correct area for this triangle. So this triangle measures 8 by 4, So 8 times 4 is 32. The next triangle I'm going to see is on the other side that's slanted, right here. So I see that this clearly has a side of 6, but I don't see a dimension for this shorter side. However, if I know this is 4, its opposite side is also 4. So the blue rectangle is going to be 6 by 4 to get an area of 24. And then my last rectangle is going to be on this bottom, which I see dimensions are 10 and 4. So 10 times 4 is 40. My last step is to add them all up. And I get a total of 144 square yards for the surface area. Great job if you got this one correct. If you didn't and you made any mistakes on this triangle, be sure you correct it before going over and solving number 2. Once you're done, find the surface area for number 2. So number 2 is back to our rectangular prism. When I have the top, the bottom, the front, the back, and both sides. The top and the bottom are going to measure, we don't see it, this is really what it is. I don't see any numbers up here, but I know that the length is 3 and the width is 5. So the top is going to be 3 times 5, which gives me 15. If the top is 15, that means the bottom is also 15. The front measures 8 by 3. 8 times 3 is 24, which means the back is also 24. My last rectangles are my sides. My dimensions are 5, and this height right here is 8. So 5 times 8 gives me 40. Both sides are 40. Add them all up, and we have a total surface area of 158 inches squared. Find the surface area of the cube. So what's special about a cube, remember, that if it tells me the width is 7, then I know that the height is 7 and the length, because a cube is made up of squares, and that has all equal sides. So once I know, I can find the top, since we normally do that first, is going to be 7 times 7, which is 49. Now, if a cube is made up of all squares, that means every single dimension is 49. So the top is 49, the bottom, the front, the back, and both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can add up 49 6 times to get 294 square centimeters, or since we're adding up the same number 6 times, you can also do 49 times 6 and you still get 294 square centimeters. Again, this only applies to cubes, and that's because all sides, all surfaces are the same measure. If you get to this slide, great job today. I hope you feel more confident with composite shapes and surface area. We're going to step up the level a little bit. So for number 4, I want you to figure out which is bigger for this triangular prism, the volume or the surface area. So think back to the week before break when we did volume. And remember that volume is the space inside a 3D object, which surface area we've been doing this week is everything on the outside. So think about your formulas, write down the formula for volume, find each, and then compare.
So the first thing, geometry, we always want to write down our formulas. So the formula for volume of a triangular prism was base times height divided by 2. This gives us the area of the triangle, but then I have to multiply it by that 3D height. So the base and the height are 12 and 16. I'm going to need to divide that by 2. The height of the whole prism is going to be 10. Remember, the height of the whole prism connects your two triangles together. It's what gives it that 3D, either height or depth. I'm going to solve inside my parentheses first. 12 times 16 divided by 2 is 96. Multiplied by 10, I get a volume of 960 cubic centimeters. Remember, volume is measured in cubic units. Now my surface area, I'm going to break up my shape into the 2 triangles and the 3 rectangles. Now for my triangle, again, to find the area is base times height divided by 2, which I actually already did right over here. Base times height was 12 times 16, divided by 2 was 96. So I know the area of the triangles are 96. I'm going to do the rectangle on the bottom first. It's okay if you did it in a different order. The dimensions of this rectangle are 12 by 10. So 12 times 10 is 120. Now I'm going to look at the rectangle that's slanted on the right here, and the dimensions are 20 by 10. So 20 times 10 is 200. And my last rectangle is the one standing up on the left. So my dimensions are 16, and I don't have a side here or a length, but I know that this side is the same as this side since they're opposite, so that's going to be 10. So 16 times 10 is 160. Now I just need to add them all up, and I get a total surface area of 672 square centimeters. So if I look at both of these, I can clearly see that the volume is greater than the surface area. See now if you can do problem number 5. So this problem is similar to the one that we just did together. We have a rectangular shaped box that measures 5 by 2 by 4. So the length is 5, the width is 2, and the height is 4. It's being gift wrapped. If we're wrapping something, that is surface area because we're wrapping it on the outside. We know how much it costs per square inch. I want to know how much it costs for the whole box. So I'm going to do my surface area. So top, bottom, front, back, side, and side. The top is going to be length times width, and the bottom. So 5 times 2 is 10. So the bottom is 10. The front is going to be 5 times 4, length times height, which is 20. So the back is 20. And the sides are going to be 2 times 4. And 2 times 4 is 8, which means my other side is 8. I'm going to add them all up. 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 20 is 40, 40 is 60. 78 square inches of material of wrapping is needed. So now I need to multiply my total times my unit rate of 4 cents per square foot, and I get $3.12 is my total for how much it would cost to wrap the box. Great job today, and be sure before you end that you fix and you check all of your work and fix any mistakes.